The Dallas Cowboys pulled off their first victory of the year in week 2 against the Los Angeles Chargers, 20-17, and we're here to get our immediate reactions, starting with you, John.
Yeah, so I don't think it's super surprising. I think everybody kind of saw how Dallas came out and played against week 1 against the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We don't like moral victories, but I think a lot of people were pleasantly surprised at how the Cowboys look, and they had a lead with about a minute and a half left in that game before Tom Brady did what he did. I think my initial reaction to this game was the return of Zach Martin and the dominance of Zach Martin and Tyron Smith, and really that offensive line. We saw what Tony Pollard did. And, we don't have to be divisive. We can appreciate both running backs. We don't have to say who's better, Tony Pollard. And Zeke had 97 yards of offense and a touchdown. He had a really good game as well. The offense was just dominant. The offensive line, both running backs were dominant. And although Dak didn't have a passing touchdown, he had that one interception. I thought he only had 4 incompletions. He did a good job of controlling the game, just continually taking what was there. And I think really what the big story is the defense. We were missing 5 starters, 3 of them on the defensive side, missing both of our defensive ends and Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence. And Micah Parsons stepped up and played defensive end the first time he's played that position since high school, when he had 8 pressures, the most in a game by any player this weekend. So Micah Parsons was dominant. I'm loving the way Keanu Neal is playing at linebacker. They're transferring him from safety to linebacker. DeMonte KZ, who came from Atlanta, they had the worst passing defense of all time last year, but this is a player who's led the league in interceptions before. He's obviously a playmaker, picked off Justin Herbert this weekend. That defense just looks competent now. Dan Quinn has them flying. Trayvon Diggs looks like a future superstar. Like I said, Micah Parsons looks like a future superstar. And this is a team that's playing really well. I think their test, the Eagles won their first game. The Cowboys won their second game. So we'll see how they look, on Monday against Philadelphia. But, right now the Cowboys are looking really good. And I think they showed it against a really good Chargers team. And Justin Herbert and that team are playing really well.
Yeah, so despite what a lot of people may want to say about that game in regards to officiating, no game is called perfect, and that's just the reality of it. What that is, you can take a moral victory away from it if you're a Chargers fan, and that's fine. Dallas fans had to do it with the Buccaneers game. But for me, what stood out most to me going into week 2 was just the coaching that the Cowboys have right now. They're more creative offensively. They're able to balance the ball with the run game and the passing game, despite, in game 1, not having Zach Martin. And we saw how the run game was affected with that. Week 2, they have Zach Martin back, and they're able to run the ball a little more. Dak didn't have to throw the ball 40 or 50 times in this game, and that's something you always want to see. John talked about the defensive side of the ball, and defensive coaching is just what it is. It's a lot better than it has been in the past for Dallas. I can't remember the last time the Cowboys had back-to-back games with multiple turnovers. And so that's something they have to go forward and keep building on, again, offensively. I can't remember the last time we saw a wide receiver line up as a running back. And so they're getting more creative offensively. They're getting turnovers defensively, and they worked away with that win despite how people want to take it away from them. It is what it is at the end of the day.
My first reaction is, and this is long awaited, but I feel like genuinely we had good coaching that game. Take away the ending and the time management. Obviously, you get the ball closer for the field goal kicker, but he's been historically horrible with regular kicks, but better with long range kicks. But that's neither here nor there. But it just seemed like, particularly on offense, we were creative, something we did not see with Jason Garrett as the head coach, even with Kellen Moore as the offense coach. It wasn't as creative as it was before. It was very creative this time, and we got to see things just happening. And what I like to see with this game was the difference of game plan from this game and the game against Tampa Bay. And you can tell the thinking next level. I feel like when I would watch Jason Garrett call plays, it was the same thing over and over again. You saw this year, this game, they were implementing the run game even more because they understood they could this game, and they understood they had some of their offensive linemen back. Yeah, Lyle Collins wasn't there. Terrence Steele had a great game going against Joey Bosa, contained him to an extent. We thought he was going to get clobbered this game. And I also want to say we hit on some defensive players in the draft, and that's Trevon Diggs from the year before and Micah Parsons. And when I look at it, and we've had this conversation a billion times, and I went back and forth. I want a DB. I want a DB. I want this. I want this. But Micah Parsons was a great pick. We were blessed to be able to have him fall and have the cornerbacks, get taken in front of him because he's versatile. He can play multiple positions. If both of our defensive ends aren't playing, he might not have played it since high school, but the dude's a freak. And the dude's a difference maker. And it showed. And not only did he show out, but just the whole defensive coaching too, because it just seemed like everybody else was just more aggressive. We saw turnovers, like Mia said. It just seemed positive. We didn't have a lot of guys out there that were injured. Even Michael Gallup was out. The DNs were out. So many guys were out. But guys stepped up. I think that's a message from leadership and coaching. So it's so much to believe in with this Cowboys team, especially when all these guys come back.
Yeah.
Now, there was something that you guys all touched on, and that was the defense. And I want to ask a question a little bit more direct. So coming into the season, the defense was looked at as the unit that was holding the team back. So after their performance through 2 weeks, I was actually impressed with their Buccaneer performance going against an offense like that. Their middle of the pack defense, I think that they didn't look absolutely horrendous, and they looked pretty good against the Chargers. Are you ready to instill more confidence in the Cowboys as a whole after seeing this defense through 2 weeks? Same order. I'll start with John.
Yeah, so I definitely think that the defense is a lot better. I think before this game, if you looked at Dak Prescott's last 5 or 6 starts, the defense was giving up an average of 35 points a game. Obviously, it's hard as a team to win, especially as an offense, no matter how high-flying you are, if the defense is giving up 35 points a game. So if they're giving up less points a game, obviously, like Mia said, taking away, giving you multiple turnovers a game, it's just easier to win. It's easier to have more confidence in the team. So the defense is playing better. But one thing I've noticed about the Cowboys, we found a way to win on Sunday, but we still have that kind of that like knack for getting field goals on drives where we should get touchdowns at. And I think if anything is going to hold the Cowboys back, it's going to be that. Our offense is too good to be relying on Greg Zuerlein as much as we had the first 2 weeks. I think he had 3-4 kicks the first week. You know what I mean? Like we have to find a way to cash these into touchdowns. We've seen Tom Brady. I have Ryan stuck up on my fantasy team, so I know they've literally been scoring nothing but touchdowns. They haven't really kicked a field goal in the first 2 weeks, right? We have that same type of offense to do that. We're relying on field goals too much, and that was a field goal game that we got into with the Chargers, where if they would have scored 1 touchdown, if they wouldn't have made an illegal shift, we'd probably lose that game. So the defense is playing well, but if we don't turn field goals into touchdowns, it really doesn't matter what the defense does.
Yeah, I think John brings up a good point. You definitely have to find a way to score in the red zone. But what I will say is I feel like the offense is getting better with time management. So that allows your defense to come into the game and be a lot fresher. And that allows for them to come in and make bigger plays. And so when you have an offense that can do what they need to do to hold the ball long enough to give your defense time to rest, that is something to put some type of confidence in, to say, hey, we know when we do get back on defense, our defense can come in and be fresh and at least not give up big plays or not give up big points and allow our offense to get back on the field and try to score again.
And let's be real here. The NFL and the Cowboys, the way they're set up as a team, you're not going to win a championship with defense. You're just going to be good enough on defense to let your offensive carry you. And the Cowboys have the most weapons in the NFL right up there with anybody. We have all these receivers. We got the running backs. We got what we need on the offensive end. We got the offensive line. We need the defense to be mid-pack. And we don't even need the defense to be dominant. We need the defense to be able to get we just need a couple turnovers every now and then and make some big plays. We going to get ran over sometimes. That's what it's going to be. But we're going to be running them over on the other side of the field too. I just need a mid-pack of the defense. I need some clutch sacks. I need some big picks. And that's what happened against Justin Herbert this past weekend. That's all we need. I think, when we have some of the guys back, we're going to see even more turnovers. We're going to see even more, great defense, not even just in the red zone. But I do believe at the end of the day, they're going to get in the red zone. But if we can start containing them to field goals and getting some interceptions, some sacks, that's where our games are going to be made. We're not going to be able to 3-and-out teams like we were a couple years ago. I think it was like that Saints game. We're not doing that. We need to make turnovers. We need to contain them to some field goals. You know what I'm talking about, Darren. You remember that game.
Last time we played, we beat y'all. That's neither here
You
nor
know what I'm
there.
talking. You know the talking. We locked y'all
I know.
down that game.
It's okay.
That.
It's okay.
You know
We're gonna move on from that.
But we don't need
it's
to
cool.
do that no
The
more.
jabs is cool. The jabs is cool. Maybe we'll talk boxing next week. But after all of this, let me know what you guys think. How did you feel about the Cowboys win over the Chargers? And how do you feel about the Cowboys defense through 2 weeks? And do you think that I should tell Jamar to stop coming on the show and throwing jabs at me? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below.
Won, but it's okay.
We're spot on sports. We're not just accurate. We spot on. We're 2 weeks